So I did some math, I put together some charts, and I'm pretty sure I figured out how much it's going to cost in US dollar terms to travel in the overworld to all three regions, to the stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. We'll get right into the charts and I'll show you how I did this. Now the fuel that you're going to need to travel is going to be the Krypton, but there are also Hyperions and Solons. I'm already working on more spreadsheets that can show the return you can make on your land by farming these fuels. But for this video, we're just going to talk about how much it's going to cost you to participate in the overworld for travel costs and for curing shards. So the first chart I have here, you can see that I set up the base travel cost in Krypton terms at $375, $1,099, and $34.99. If you're in the open beta and you've been playing, you'll know that those numbers are not made up. Currently, they give you 5,000 Krypton per day. It's not on the blockchain, so you can't sell it for anything. But they give you that 5,000 Krypton to participate in the open beta. And you can see right here, for a stage 1 travel, it's $375, stage 2, $1,099, stage 3, $34.99. So those are the numbers I'm working with. Now, there's been a lot of talk and no confirmation on how much in dollar terms it's going to cost to travel, but that's why I made this video, because I'm figuring that out right here. There are a couple assumptions we have to make, but I think this is a pretty decent one to go by. And that assumption is that a stage 1 travel is going to cost around $1. We know they want to make it accessible to most people, but that 99 cents or $1 I think is going to be about as low as they go for that stage 1 travel. So basically what I did is I made a stage 1 travel $1, which equals 375 Krypton. And from there, I can figure out how much a stage 2 and a stage 3 travel would be. So in this situation, a stage 1 travel would be the $1. A stage 2 travel would be just under $3, $2.93. And a stage 3 travel would be just under $10 at $9.33. These numbers look very reasonable to me. And another thing to keep in mind is they do have rails set so that the prices of these can't fluctuate too much, only 25% up or down. So I did that math for you too, and that's what these two columns are for. So here you can see the high end and low end in Krypton terms. So if the demand went down by 25% from this baseline, it would cost about 281 Krypton. And then you can see stage 2 and stage 3 here. In dollars terms, obviously 25% down would be 75 cents. And then, 220 for a stage 2 travel. $7 for a stage 3 travel. It also works on the high end, so if demand went up by 25%, it could cost about 469 Krypton for that stage 1 travel, and then up to about 4,400 for a stage 3 travel. And in dollar terms, that'd be $1.25, 366, or 1166. Again, all of this seems reasonable, and we know things could change and they're going to balance, but based on the numbers that we have now, this looks like it could be the case. But that's not it. Using these numbers, I've also figured out how much curing shards might cost in terms of Solons. So if we go over here, we know from Illuvium 0 that you're able to farm all three of the fuels at the same rate, assuming you have same sites on your land and the same level structure. So we can assume that the baseline price for all three of these fuels are the same. So going by that baseline price, we can estimate some shard curing costs. So again, these numbers aren't pulled out of thin air, but the one number I did plug in here was 100 Solon to cure a common shard. And you can see with 100 Solon, that equals about 27 cents, and I think that seems very reasonable. And I basically took the multipliers from the stage 1 travel to a stage 2 travel to a stage 3 travel, and I plugged that in for, common, rare, and resplendent, and then I put a number in between all those for the uncommon and epic. So again, those numbers aren't just pulled out of thin air either. And if you happen to think that, shards could cost a little bit more, in this chart you could easily bump this up and it calculates everything for you. So if you thought curing a common shard would cost closer to 50 cents or 200 Hyperion, you can also see that pretty clearly too. But let's go back down to 100 for the baseline because I think that's what it's going to be. So to cure that common shard would be about 27 cents, uncommon 40, rare 80 cents, epic $1.60, and resplendent about 267. And just like the other chart, I have your low end, your high end in Hyperions, and then your low and high end in USD, depending on the demand, whether you're up 25% or down 25%. So now that we have a pretty good idea of how much it's going to cost for all of these, we have another little calculator here that you can use to kind of estimate how much it might cost you, like, say, per day or per week. So let's say similar to what the private beta has. With that 5,000 they give you, you're able to travel to one stage 3 region, one stage 2 region, and one stage 1 region. And just from experience, if you're traveling to these lands, I'm going to say you're probably going to want, let's say, 3 resplendent shards. I'd say 5 epic shards. Let's go with another 5 rare shards. These uncommon shards are mainly for those tier 2s, for those links. I personally, not a big fan, so I don't think we're going to need too many of those. I'll go again with the 5. And then common shards, we come across a lot of those, and we don't really want to leave them on the table if we can catch them. So let's just say we want 10 of those. So if we did all of this in one day, then that could cost about $38. And that's if the demand is at the baseline. Over here, we can see if we lowered that demand to the lower 25%, it'd be about $28. And if we raise that demand up 25%, we could be looking at about $47. Now, don't get spooked out too much from these numbers, because just from playing the private beta, it takes quite a bit of time to go through each of these regions once. If you have a family and you're working a full-time job, like, you're probably not going to be able to even do this much every day. This might be something that you're looking at to do, in a week or a weekend. The other thing to keep in mind is that you'll be able to use SILV2 to make these purchases in the overworld, and you can get SILV2 on Uniswap at a pretty good discount. Now, that discount is going to vary depending on the demand. Right now, you can see here, if you just go to Uniswap and you plug in ILV and SILV2, you put 1 for SILV2, you can see what percentage it is of the ILV. So it's about 48%. Now, you might pay a little bit of gas fees. So when I plug it in here, I am going to overestimate just slightly. But you can change here on what that percentage the SILV2 is compared to the ILV. So if, for example, right now, let's say 49%, now all of a sudden, if you want to do this, your estimate goes down to costing you about $18.58 per day, which seems a lot more reasonable. I would suspect that when the game is out, this percentage is going to bump up. So let's say it's closer to 75%. Then you're still looking at a pretty good discount, and it would be about $28 for this whole thing. Now, when open beta is out and there are different places to spend this SILV2, like I said, I do expect it to go up in percentage-wise compared to ILV, which is why I'm on the side stacking some up. Not financial advice. I might make another whole video on that, but I do think SILV2 right now is quite the steal. And you can, again, fluctuate with all of these numbers. So let's say the SILV went up to, 82%, and you wanted to do, let's say, 2 tier 3 regions. So you didn't need as many of these. Let's say you wanted to go with that. Now, let's say the demand is really high. Like, I think we all hope it's going to be really high. So something like that might cost you, $46 or $38 if you exchange with the SILV2. Now, once we learn more about forging equipment in the Hyperions and how much that stuff might cost, I can add that in and I'll make another video on that. But like mentioned before, I am working on another video that's going to explain how much you can make with your land in terms of selling fuel. I don't want to get too much into that right now, but I already have some other charts over here. Got to screenshot that real quick if you want to get a little preview. That's going to be coming soon, so make sure you subscribe to this channel. So it is taking me a lot of time to put together all these charts and making little calculators. So if you appreciate that, then like this video, let me know in the comments down below. If you're not already, please subscribe to this channel. I really enjoy making all these videos, but I need to see that my channel is growing as well. So catch you in the next one.